penalty, is it? No, he's still going. Oh, how about that? How about that?
Carried on into the penalty area. Here he is. And then Giroud. What a goal. Brilliantly worked. Fantastically finished.
Well, here's Ramsey. And Alexis Sanchez. Great footwork. 3-0. Liverpool blown away. A 3-goal, 8-minute Arsenal blast.
Alexis, blocked by a Newcastle defender, still not cleared! Wow, what a volley! Where others failed, Ozil has succeeded!
Well done, Arteta. Plenty of hit
here. Yes! Arsenal have their breakthrough! Mikel Arteta, they deserve it!
Oh, they're behind again. It's amazing. It's Aaron Ramsey. That's the response of Arsenal. Andy Iwobi, nicely done. Brilliantly done. Bayern Walcott. Sensational Arsenal goal.
Is that a handball? No. Nothing the play can do. Great, what a goal! Arsenal have made it 3-0. Jack Wilshere with an absolute thunderbolt.
Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Tez. You can get me at Gunnar Tez. You can get the show at The Clock End Talk. And today we're doing something totally new, something totally different. And that's basically talking to you guys, the listeners out there. You know, me and Tony, Schwinn, Addy, Jack, we all get here behind the microphone talking week in, week out about matches. But let's face it, the Premier League's probably done and dusted now for us, and I was thinking of what can we discuss, what can we talk about. So I thought, well, let's put it out to the listeners. I want to hear from you guys because we are an Arsenal podcast and we couldn't do it without you guys. So I'm going to bring in Andy. How are you, buddy?
Hi, boss. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Welcome to the show, mate. Welcome to the show. And we're just talking behind the scenes, and you've followed Arsenal for a long time.
I have indeed, yeah, since 78 for my sins. Yeah, I've seen a few ups and downs, not so many downs, but yeah, it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah, well, MAA Gunner, he's in the chat. He has asked, where's Tony? I did send Tony an invite, and we are adding him in now. So he is coming. I did say 7:30, 10:30 p.m. for you guys in the UK. So I know time zones are different and a bit weird for you as well. Like you're either up at night or, you know, you're in Australia. You haven't even started work yet. So we'll just see how we go. But, yeah, I'm bringing Tony in now. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's good that my one fan asked about me. Because you sent the long instructions, it was to copy and paste a link was a pain in the proverbial.
Okay, yeah, I'll actually send some more links out now in the chats and on Twitter as well as we're talking. And anyone who wants to join, hey, jump in. You'll come into the back room of this wonderful StreamYard conversation.
No one wants to come in your back room, Tez.
And you'll be sitting and waiting. So, Tony, I found a fan who's been following Arsenal for a very long time, probably before you and I were even born.
Good. Show my age now, don't I, boys? Yes, unfortunately. You all right, Tony?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Yes, interesting times.
Are you Arteta in or out? I have to ask.
Do you know what? I think we've got to give the man the chance. I know everyone keeps saying, well, look, he's been there 18 months and you know, we're 10th in the league, but you know, he hasn't really been given the ammunition to go and buy. You know, he's not been given a summer really to get his teeth into and start, you know, bringing his players in. Like, he's brought a few here and there, but I'm at the moment. I like to think that I'm Arteta in still.
Okay. Yeah. Were you going to mention something there, Tony?
No, I was just going to say, probably even as such a long-time supporter, it's probably so different from anything you've ever experienced before with the club. I mean, obviously, I know we've had manager issues and whatnot, but now just I mean, obviously, I've not supported as long as you have, but it just feels completely different to anything I've ever known with the club before.
Yeah, I think, Tony, yeah, definitely. I think I have never really liked being at the Emirates. I've got to be honest. I think the Emirates is a very cold sort of place to be. I mean, you know, when you're brought up going to Highbury and the amazing nights we had at Highbury, and even in the 80s, we were pretty poor, let me tell you. I mean, I remember seeing myself in the newspaper when I used to stand in the schoolboys enclosure in the Highbury, and I actually remember spotting myself in the newspaper. It was that desolate. I can't remember, we were playing Sheffield United or something like that. You know, times were bad. That was, you know, Terry Neal. They were pretty dour times then. So yeah, it's been known that we've struggled, but at the moment, yeah, it's not been amazing, has it? I think we were just Wenger engrossed, weren't we? And as time went on, we sort of, it wore out a little bit. But I think now we're starting to appreciate what the man did.
What with the Super League, Andy, you know, that obviously raised a lot of eyebrows, and you were talking before behind the scenes, we were discussing that you went to the protest and you took a young fella with you as well. What was the energy and the atmosphere at the stadium?
I think there was good energy. There wasn't any nastiness. I think everyone was there putting their point across. Everyone was very energized by it, and everyone had the same view. You know, you can't let a franchise, you can't let the people, you know, dominate what we've grown up with. I feel that, you know, that's their. You know, as we said behind the scenes, they don't look into it. All they're interested is seeing the pound notes, and I think, you know, for a lot of supporters that really hurt. You know, knowing the fact plus it was done behind everyone's backs. It was, you know, it was a nasty sort of, you know, nothing was talked about. You know, and I just think it was a horrible thing to have to put up with. And I think now the clubs are counteracting it now, hopefully, and everyone's trying to come together. But it was good energy. It was good energy, Ted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tony, I seen Schwinn, you know, sharing some links this morning about Chelsea and some of their fans. You know, they're putting them on the board and stuff. And you made an interesting comment. I think that's not what you wanted Arsenal to go down. Just your thoughts on why you're so against that.
Yeah, I mean, first things first. Have you still not shot them fucking budgies?
What it was.
every fucking week.
Yeah,
like, you're a country full of snakes. Just fucking feed them to the snake. Yeah. Look, I mentioned this last week on here when obviously Chelsea hadn't even mentioned they were going to do it yet. That I thought it was a terrible idea. I hate the idea of fan representation on the board for a few reasons. I actually saw a Twitter thread about an hour ago going on about it, and I basically agreed with everything it said, which is unusual for me. First of all, they're going to have absolutely no power, so it's a PR exercise. Then people are going to be probably hated because it's like, oh, they're just going along with whatever the board are saying. No, they just don't have the power. They're not going to call on the board Dave from Camden and Steve from Islington and then go, oh, you can make decisions about this multi-billion-pound company. And look, don't get me wrong, of course we're a football club, but we are also a multi-billion-pound company, whether people like it or not. So they're not going to have any power. Then they're going to get called this, that, and the other. And then also, most of the people that do it are going to end up just clout chasing. We've seen it down the years with Arsenal Supporters Trust, AST, they're closely linked with the club. They don't have any power. Yes, they can question the club, and they have contacts within the club. So obviously it was them who interviewed Josh, and they've done numerous things down the years. But there's always been people heading it up that they end up becoming the voice of Arsenal. And every time anything's on the TV or on the radio, it's them that gets called up, and then they spout their opinion, and half the people are going to agree, half the people are going to disagree. And you do just get people that end up clout chasing, and they want to become like Mr. Arsenal. I speak for the Arsenal fans because I'm on the board. And it's like, you're never ever going to get a fan that everyone agrees with their opinion. So for me, I just think it's completely like, is to try and get fans on side. It's exactly what I said with the Henri Bergkamp and Vieira thing. It's to get us fans going, oh, look, they really are representing us. They've got 2 fans, even though I think they're both bellends. They've got 3 ex-players who are going to have no say because, let's be honest, they're ex-footballers, not businessmen and or board members. Look, I'm when I was growing up playing sports, there was a saying going around the club I played for, and it was one of the most successful clubs in England, and it was players play, coaches coach, managers manage. And I think if you stick to that, most things work. It's very rare you get someone go from a player into the boardroom and do well, or players become owners, or owners become managers, or stick to your lane. And I think the problem is we're talking about so much for PR, and I include fan representation on the board of that. Like, fans are fans, and that's all we are. We might think we're something more, but I have no illusion. Like, I travel every week, obviously pre-COVID, I travel every week here, there and everywhere. I go to the Emirates every week. I'm a fan, that's it. Like, I'm nothing more than that. My voice is worth the same as yours, Tez, and yours, Andy, and Schwinn, who's in India, and the bloke next to me who's been going for 40 years. Our voices are exactly the same. It's, for me, I don't see the point. I wouldn't even say I'm against it. I am against it, but for me, it's more that it's absolutely pointless. And also, would I do the role if offered? Obviously, it wouldn't be offered, but if offered, would I do it? Probably, just to say I'm on the Arsenal board, but then that's me clout chasing. I know, because I know that the role's not going to add anything. As I said, it's just so they can get a pat on the back. Oh, look at them, they're including fans. But then what they're going to do? Go to the fan and go, oh, do you want to spend 70 million on Grealish? Well, fuck off. They're not going to ask fans.
Yeah, what's your take on it, Andy?
I think I do tend to agree with Tony. I mean, it's definitely a PR stunt having with the supporters. I'm not too sure what to make of the Henri Bergkamp and Vieira. Listen, also, I think it's I don't know how that's going to help with, trying to negotiate with Kroenkes anyway. Kroenke's not going to suddenly say, oh, look, got 3 Arsenal ex-legends. Well, okay, yeah, we're giving, take it for 1.8 billion, that's fine. I don't think that's going to happen. It's definitely a PR stunt. It's nice to know that they're involved and they've got a lot of heart with the club. But at the end of the day, it's going to be that Daniel Ek and what finances he's going to have, and whether he's not going to come in with a debt, or that's our main worry with all this. If it actually materialises, I personally at the moment, I don't think he's going to give in Kroenke at the moment. I think he's there. I think he's there until well into next year.
I'm still so split on this, and I said it last week on the podcast. Yeah. We don't even know. Is the grass greener on the other side of the fence? Who knows? In regards to fans on the board, Roberta says he likes the idea. Fans for the club, I get where he's coming from a little bit, because you actually feel as though, like, Chelsea fans have not protested. Am I correct?
They did a bit when Peter Cech came out, but not against the owner.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, okay. So they haven't been like as vocal as Man United fans and
the two that have been vocal are the two that didn't like their owners anyway. Chelsea are not going to try and get rid of Abramovich, and City aren't going to try and get rid of Mansour, because without being disrespectful to them, both of them clubs before them 2 people arrived, Man City were in League One, and Chelsea were, they were brought for £1.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to protest against their.
Where's Tottenham stand on all this? Where are their fans?
They're fans, but they don't like. Well, it's difficult for them because they're not really big on Levy, but he doesn't own the club. Everyone thinks Levy owns Tottenham, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He basically just has controlling power. So they don't really like him, but then also they're probably better now, apart from the Champions League year, than they have been in most of their lifetimes. So they're kind of stuck on the fence. Whereas I think with Arsenal and Man United, it's been so clear for a long time that we wanted our owners out. I mean, you go back to Tottenham, when was it? 3 years ago they got to the Champions League final. Like, if you asked their fans then, do you want the owners out? Every one of them would have said no. Whereas you went back to Arsenal fans 3, 5, 10 years ago, most of them would have said, yeah, we want him out. And the same with United. Ever since Fergie's gone, which is what, 2012, 13, something like that. They've just been, oh, we want him out, we want him out, we want him out.
MWA Gunner. Spurs bought a guitar to their protest. I don't know. That's right. I just pictured the Lisa Simpson playing the guitar out front of the power plant in that Simpsons episode. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know where. Well, I agree, Tony. I don't even know what fans would say or vote on. Like, I'm just trying to think if you give them power to do a little job, almost like. But I don't even to make them feel a part of the club. But I don't.
Well, look, I mean, for anyone, look, I don't know the guy personally, but there's a guy called Tim Payton who was the head of the AST for years, and he's pretty much universally hated because it felt like he was trying to become a celebrity. And as I said, he spoke his ideas as facts because he's like, I'm the head of the AST, so I'm speaking for the fan base. And it's like, well, you're not. You're speaking for yourself, and some of the fan base might agree with you, some might not. And that's always going to be the problem. As I said, I don't know Tim, so it's nothing personal. But then also, it's like, where do you draw the line? Like, so for example, I'm kind of skipping subject, but it does relate. So they've announced that we're allowed 10,000 fans at our last game, and they've announced that there's going to be a ballot from not only season ticket holders, but also red members, silver members, purple members, blah, 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 blah. All right. Every season ticket holder I know, including me, is pissed off about that because I've paid my amount every year for however many years to be a season ticket holder to go to every game. We paid a deposit this year of like about 250 quid, even though we've not been able to go to any games. Why is Tez? Honestly, you could sign up for a red member and you have the same chance as me as going to the last game. I'm not saying I'm a better fan than you, but if I've been going home away, but the thing is, so the AST, I'm not sure how much they've had in this. So again, I'm not hammering the AST, but they have a red member, he's a red member who's high up on there. So they have a representative. That's it. A red member representative, a silver member representative, and they're going to the club fighting. Oh, we should have more access. Nothing personal and nothing against finances, but why should some bloke from anywhere in the world who can pay 25 quid a year, never go to a game, have the same rights as, and again, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but have the same right as someone who pays £1,000 a year on home tickets, then another 1,000 on away tickets, plus travel, plus like hotel and drinks and food and whatnot. Like, I'm sorry, but we're not the same. Like,
well,
and again, I know that sounds disrespectful.
Yeah, I just want to ask though, on your, what you're talking there, out of the ground, and I know it's kind of, well, you probably know, but last year there's no fans and stuff there. But out of a full capacity ground, how many of them fans do you think, in a percentage, are global audience or tourists?
Look, well, basically, it's hard to say because what happens is I think roughly 2/3 of the ground is season ticket holders. It's just under, as far as I'm aware. Then red members are guaranteed 3,000 tickets for every game. But there's, I don't know how many red, there might be 100,000 red members. So in theory, you, as a global fan, could sign up for a red membership and you have a chance of getting a ticket to every game. But then also, if you're a red member, I can transfer my ticket to you if I can't go. So to put a number on how many people are global fans, as you've called them, and how many people are local fans, is near on impossible because, as I said, in theory, there's 3,000 tickets. But that's like, so say, I'm not sure if he still is, but say Charlie Shanks, the guy who does the pictures, he was a red member. But just because he's one of them, he could get one of them one in 3,000 tickets. But I mean, he lives next to the ground, or he used to. So I wouldn't call him a global fan. Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult to say the dynamic.
Yeah. I'd just be
interested. Me, I don't care where you're from. I just think
yeah.
The fans can't be treated. They shouldn't be treated equally because otherwise we wouldn't have membership. If you want to treat everyone equally, fuck off membership and sell tickets game by game.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from. Yeah.
Can I just answer Sam's point because I knew this argument was going to come up.
Yeah.
If people want a season ticket in their red membership and they haven't got one, they don't want one. Because honestly, like if anyone wants a season ticket, message me. Because like obviously you've got to pay the price. I'm not saying I'm giving anyone free, but every year without fail, I could have got 5,000 season tickets if I wanted to.
Yeah, right. Sam
anyone
says
that-
there also
anyone that's
might be,
looking for tickets-
just for those on the pod, Tony, that don't know what Sam's asked.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, he did say there also might be a lot of Red member fans who want season tickets but can't get them.
Yeah, as I said, anyone who's actively looking for tickets, if they say they don't know how to get a season ticket, they're lying or they're actually not looking. Because I don't know how involved Andy is with tickets, but look at, so when Schwinn came last year, he was over here for a month. I got him tickets to every game apart from Tottenham away, which he managed to source himself. I got them all at face value. He paid a little bit more for Tottenham away, which is like why I didn't source it, because I don't do anything above face value. But even then, I go to games with mates, even away games. I can go 10, 20 of us for any game. It's not difficult. So if people are actually looking for tickets, they can get them. I refuse to believe, unless finances, which is a different point. Look, there's people can't afford it. I'm not going to say anything about them. But if people, I very much doubt there's a Red member that wants to be a season ticket holder, and the only reason they've not got a season ticket is because they can't get one. I just don't believe that exists.
Tony, is it that easy? I always thought, I don't go. My son's a junior gunner, and I've got a membership with him. So we go as and when, but if we're lucky. But is it that easy when you say for the away games? I always thought there was like a strict coding with all for the away games.
No, so look, again, it's mainly resale, so you'll never get them in your name.
No.
But the credit system is stupid, and it suits the people that go a lot. But a lot of them buy them and sell them on, mostly for face value, from what I know, or most of the people I know. So they're gettable, but it won't be the tickets don't have names printed on them, but obviously if you want to build up credits, which you can only do on a season ticket anyway, then it's near impossible. To start from zero is near impossible. And as I said, the system's stupid. That's not anyone's fault. It's the way the system is. But to actually, if you just want to go to the game and don't care about all the politics of credits and whatnot, there's probably 3 games a season that are hard to get. And by hard, I mean, you'll probably still get them, but they're a bit difficult.
Yeah.
So Bournemouth away is seen as one of the hard. Well, obviously, when they're in the Premier League, was seen as one of the hardest because we only got about 800 tickets.
Yeah.
But I've been known to go down to Bournemouth with 7-8 tickets, like for mates and whatnot. The harder games, it depends on who you know. For me, the harder games are the ones that are in London, because the people I know that won't travel because they've been doing it for years and years, they'll still go to London. Like Watford away for them is a home game, because most old school goons, I don't know where you live, but they've kind of moved out to Hertfordshire, Essex borders. So Watford's probably closer than the Emirates. So the Watford was always really hard to get. Chelsea, Tottenham, for the obvious reasons. But anywhere, like, people think, City, United, Liverpool, Everton will be hard. Not so much. Everton will be hard to get. I've been to them games and like had 50 tickets in my pocket.
Oh, really? Handy chat to know this, Tony, for future.
You know what's going to happen now? We're going to get away allocations of 8 tickets, and people are going to be on my case. Well, get me a ticket, and it's like, but the amount of times I've just, like, Tez, you'd have seen it. The amount of times I've had spare tickets, and I've just put on Twitter, like, anyone want them, inbox me, and I've sold loads of tickets through people, like, just said, whatever, like, face value, or meet me up there, but pay me before, and like, you know what I mean? Just so I don't want to go up to somewhere with 10 tickets in my pocket, hoping someone pays me for them. I put tickets on Twitter all the time.
Well, Sam actually says he lives in Australia now, so irrelevant, but I'm English. And when I lived there, I was a Red member and on the season ticket wait list for 4 years. Wow. Obviously, he didn't have the right contacts. It's 4-year waiting. Wow, that's crazy. It's
long. No, the actual waiting list is like 10 years, I think. But, I mean, they also don't manage it very well. I've told the story on here before that when I got my season ticket, I got it. They rang and said, you're at the top of the list. Do you want it? Yeah, fine. Paid for it. Got it sent to me. 3 weeks later, they rang me and said, you're at the top of the list. Do you want a season ticket? I was like,
wow.
Oh, yeah, fine. And then I couldn't afford it at the time. I couldn't afford to have to. So I rang my mates and said, does anyone want a season ticket face value? Obviously, someone said yeah. So then that's Arsenal's poor management.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without doubt. Not a good system.
I'm just going to add another listener to the stream, boys. Viniac, he's a long-time listener. I've spoke to him previously. How are you, brother?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear, mate.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. I've just been crazy working with the pandemic right now. I just got back home after a 36-hour shift.
Oh, wow. How's you're over in India, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm over in India right now, so it's
How's it all
3:30 in
going
the
there,
morning
bud?
right now.
How's
not
it all
good.
going?
Can you talk a little louder, please? I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, mate. How's things going over there?
It's pretty bad right now. It's pretty
Wow.
bad.
Yeah.
Just
mate, I hope
just
everything goes
you're a
well.
doctor as well, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm a doctor.
Yeah. Thought so.
Yeah, well.
It's
I
not
hope
good.
everything goes well, man. I'm absolutely speechless because, like, I've read reports. I even had a couple of Indian mates of mine text me during the week after hearing that we're not even getting our people out of the country.
Exactly.
And
It's
things like that. So yeah, it's very crazy. So, how's what's your thoughts on all this Arsenal stuff, mate? And we're obviously discussing at the moment membership. We were discussing about Daniel Eek taking over ownership and Stan Kroenke. What's your take on things?
the ticket side of things. I don't really know much about it. Because obviously I'm an overseas fan. I would like to see Arsenal live one day. Hopefully it happens soon. It was supposed to happen this year.
Yeah,
But thanks to the pandemic, it never really panned out. About Daniel Ek, at this point of time, I would take anybody over Stan Kroenke. And I know Liam and I on the group keep having, discussions about, you know, whether Stan Kroenke is good or not. But, the biggest indicator of what Stan Kroenke has done to Arsenal is the decline of Arsenal has coincided at the same time with Kroenke taking over, whether, it's 30% shares or 60% shares. And people keep saying, it's Abramovich came in, the oil money came in, and all of those things. But what we tend to forget is Arsenal was one of the most valuable clubs at that point of time. So there were ways in which we could maneuver around the stadium depth and all of those things. And this was a time where FFP wasn't there. So if anybody wants to be successful, they would. If Kroenke wanted to be successful and he wanted to pump in money, there was a way in which he could have done it. It's just that he chose not to, And the responsibility goes to the previous custodians of the club as well. People like Nino Bracewell Smith and all of these people who said, you know what, we're going to make our millions and billions and we're just going to keep quiet while the club goes to shit.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
She was her last one to give in, wasn't she, with her portion? And we were sold down the line with it. I mean, I still think we were sold down the line with the Emirates, but that's a debatable. It's another debate. But yeah, no, it's very true what Vignac's saying. We had the chances of saying no, to give the man full control of the club. I think was just absolutely crazy.
Well, once he got to 30%, he had to make a takeover bid. The only look, you can't blame Usmanov because I wouldn't want a huge share in something where I have no say, which is
absolutely no.
But once he sold, so even the fan shareholders, I wasn't one of them. I fucking wasn't rich enough. But once the Usmanov agreed to sell his, it was game over because there was no point in anyone else. So they got, is it called a compulsory purchase order, where they actually had no say. So there was obviously the fan owners were minor. You know what I mean? They owned less than 1%. But then there was people that maybe owned 10%. That they had to sell basically because he owned so much, and it was also pointless. Like, what's the point owning 10% of a company when you have absolutely no say?
No say, yeah.
And their shares are getting diluted. So I'm not saying in terms of Nina Bracewell Smith because I don't know what her situation was, but there were some people that kind of really had to sell. But then there was others. As we were sold down the river. There's no two ways about it. And David Dean started that, which a lot of people like to forget. That he played a huge part in it. And Arsenal fans see him as a messiah. And don't get me wrong, he was great at his job. But it all started with him.
Well, yeah, there was a massive dispute, wasn't there, in boardroom level with him and Fisman.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, well, it was him that introduced the Kroenkes as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Roberto, how much is Daniel worth? And that's interesting. I actually thought exactly the same yesterday because I heard Bill Gates, he's getting a divorce, and they were talking about how much his fortune's worth on the news, and I was, oh, that's interesting. I think it was worth something like $180 billion. And my daughter's sitting there and she goes, 180 billion, Dad, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Vignette, you might have to just mute it, brother. I've got a dog in the background.
I'm so sorry. Just give me a second.
And my daughter's sitting there with me and she said, that's a lot of money, Dad, isn't it? And I said, yeah, funny enough, though. I said, Arsenal are looking at maybe buying, and they're valuing the club at $2 billion. So how much does this Daniel Ek, how much is he worth, I wonder?
There's conflicting reports. It seems somewhere around 4 seems to be the line where it seems to be his worth, but I don't think that's personal wealth. I think that's in assets, as in if he was to sell some Spotify shares. But I said this last week, one of my big problems with the takeover, and I'm in the same boat as a lot of people where I'm kind of anyone but Kroenkes. Yeah. But one of the big problems, and he said it very deliberately, look, when they've been working on PR so strong that they don't make slips of the tongue. So when they say whatever they say, the way they've worded it, there's a reason. And when he said, I can't remember if he said raise the funds or secured the funds. I know whatever one I said, I said it wrong.
It was raised, wasn't it?
Yeah. The money ain't his. Partly it might be him, but there is money coming from somewhere else. And for me, before I get fully on board with this, the answer to that question is a big one. Look, he's being used as he's a fan. Again, it's a PR move because Arsenal fan, we want someone that cares. Okay, so here's a fan that's fronting the consortium, essentially. But it's like people think Gary Neville owns Salford. Again, going off on a tangent. He doesn't. Yeah. Peter Lim owns it. Or it's like, the class of 92 owns Salford. No, they don't. They'll have a share in it. That do you know what I mean? That's interesting. Ex-Man United players own Salford. Let's all get behind them. I've watched all the Salford documentaries. I think they're fucking brilliant. Like, if Salford are on, I'll watch them because I've watched them documentaries, and now I know a couple of their players. Like, but even when they were they were probably 7 leagues below Arsenal, and I knew their players' names. So then I start checking for their scores because I've seen the documentary, all because they're owned by, in air quotes, by Man United players. They're not. They're owned by Peter Lim, who's a Singaporean billionaire. So this is the same thing with the Arsenal. I'm convinced there's no way you make a statement saying raise funds if you've just using your own money. Like, I don't go and buy a new car and say to the guy, I've raised the funds. I go, I'm paying for it. Like, you know what I mean? Here's my cash. So
I'd imagine he's got to get board of directors on side in the background of Spotify or whatever else he's got involved in, or do they create another company like?
Might not be anything to do with Spotify.
No, that's what I mean. Like, maybe they got to create another company like I don't know, Daniel Ek bloody Arsenal Foundation or some shit. I don't know.
But look, I mean, obviously it's not, but you've just mentioned him.
Yeah.
He could have said to Bill Gates, do you want to go arse on this company, or I'll run it and you put 80% of the money or whatever. It's a great investment. Look at the money the Kroenkes have made. Yeah. And Bill Gates says, yeah. And then suddenly, but Daniel Ek's heading it because he's the fan and he's the one the fans want to see. I'm convinced that there's no way, because look, if someone said, he could have been selling Spotify in the background. If someone sells 10% of Spotify, the market knows about it. Yeah. I'm not a genius with stocks and shares. I do a little bit of work in them, but I know if 10% of a major company gets sold, there's a reaction.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just adding another one to the chat, boys. Sam, how are you, Sam?
Good, thanks, boys. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. You got a comment on any of this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, a big fan of the show. Brilliant analysis from you guys. My take on this is really pretty much echoing what you guys have already said, that I'm much more interested in just competency in managing the football club rather than gestures and all the rest of it. I have no idea whether Daniel Ek will be a better owner or not. But really, similarly, just sort of questioning whether, the Cronkies are basically, in, you know, how good a job they've done at actually running the club. I completely accept that. I completely accept that they're, you know, they're in the US and they've employed other people to manage the football side of the club. But I think in terms of maximising the commercial potential of the club as well, I'm not sure how great a job they've done. And ultimately, the decisions that they make from a footballing side of who runs the club, have they made the best decisions there? So I'm not convinced they've done a particularly good job. But similarly to you guys, do we know that a potential owner like Daniel Ek is going to do a better job? We really have no idea. And
this
to me,
is what my problem is. I don't know, like, and I hear what you're saying exactly. And Cronkies, let's face it, right? They don't know football, let alone English football. Daniel Ek, I'd imagine he knows a little bit. A Swedish bloke probably knows. I'm not sure what their main sport is there, but I think.
Well, you got to remember, Tez, that when he was growing up, I'd imagine he's around my age or a little bit older. We'd have had Freddie Lundberg.
Freddie Lundberg,
And before that, we've had a few Scandinavians. So even if they weren't Swedes, Anders Limpar, and so it would have been like, you know what, or Tez, you know what it's like when you're from a foreign country. If a team like has a player from your nationality, like you watch them, like so Tim Cahill, Viduka, you've had players that you've banged on about, Matt Ryan being one of them before he signed for us, and someone else, I can't remember who it was, but because he was Australian, you kept an eye out for them.
I looked at Leeds with an interest because of Harry Kewell and the Aussie players there. So no, I didn't follow Leeds United, but you'd kind of watch it with one eye and have an interest to see how the Aussies go. So I get that. I don't know though if I see what Sam's point is, and this is. Like Stan, like they're not football people, so I feel as though they've tried. Maybe the better option would have been put your hands up and say we're not a football people. We're hiring people who are the football brains. I don't know if that. I'm just trying to devil's advocate, and what your thoughts on that, Sam? Is Daniel Ek a bit similar, where he's putting his hands up and he's got these ex-players involved.
Again, what is, and it depends on their roles really, because Bergkamp's got some good experience working in youth development with Ajax. So from that perspective, I'd be happy for him to come in and do a role like that. Vieira obviously was a massively influential figure from the playing side, whether he can be involved there. Thierry Henry to me was like one of the greatest things that I've seen on a football pitch. Unbelievable footballer, but how much does he add to the boardroom? So again, it's sort of, and I agree as well with like fan representation. Even though in principle I'm kind of in favour of that. Like, how do you get someone to represent a very diverse and large fan base? So I'm confusing it, like in terms of the operationalization of how this works. Like ultimately, like I just want an owner that like is motivated to make the club achieve its sporting potential, a director of football that adopts a culture, throughout the club of a way that he wants the club to play, the team to play, and a manager that can maximise the potential of the players. That's pretty much the formula I want. I'm not really too fussed about who it is, as long as that can be achieved, to be honest.
I think it'd be nice to actually have the owner turn up at a few games during the season just to show goodwill. I mean, when's Kroenke ever turned up apart from a cup final? He's never been there, has he? His son maybe come maybe once or twice, and it'd be nice. Even if this Daniel Ek has got Henry and Vieira and all that, just to turn up to the games. I think that could be a part of what he's thinking. Maybe he doesn't always have to be there. I don't know. What do you reckon, Tony? Do you reckon that's something
I was going to cut in before, but I wanted to give everyone the chance to speak. That what I think a lot of people are missing, and maybe if they're not here, is that the fans here the notion that the Cronkies don't care is one of the main things.
Yeah.
And as you said, turning up at games. But I don't think having people like Omri on the board helps with that, because to be fair to Vinay and Edu, who are the current board members, and Raul Sanlehi before them, they're always there. They go home and away most weeks. So but an actual owner that turns up, I mean, in what was a PR disaster that kind of slipped by the wayside because we signed some good players that week, him turning up to an Arsenal training camp in a Rams t-shirt is an absolute joke. But it slipped by because that week we signed Pepe, Ceballos and someone else. Like just stuff like that. You want someone who, even if they don't live and breathe Arsenal, you want them at least to pretend to care. Like look at Abramovich. No one knows how much he knows or cares about football. But pre his visa issues in the UK, he was always seen sitting there. And it was the joke that it was like the Roman emperor. He's sitting there looking to sack someone. But at least he's fucking there. And and when they scored, the camera could go to him and you'd see him celebrating or give a little clap or kiss his missus, one of them, or whatever. Like, 100%. Do you know what I mean? That stuff helps. Whereas with the Cronkies, you can't see that. I bet, like, just as a basic PR, this has nothing to do with ownership. You want us to score a last-minute winner, and the camera go to the Cronkies, and he's there swinging his wig over his head, and everyone would go, "Yeah, you know what? At least he's on board. He wants us to win."
I think that's as well the. I think that's as well the thing with, like, you know, that you want to see that motivated owner. You want to actually feel that, like, they're invested in wanting the team to maximize their sporting potential, right? So, like, at the moment, it feels like they're so disconnected that all they care about is the commercial side and maximizing that, and they don't really care about the sporting merit, the sporting achievement of the team, which is the critical thing to everyone else invested in the club. And that's where it comes to, like, for me, that you want to see that they're there, they're invested in the actual sporting side of it, and not just distant owners.
Sorry to cut in, but then you know, it's so apparent that the Cronkies are mediocre at best. Like, which team or in their portfolio of sporting teams is doing exceptionally well over and over again? I think it's the American football outfit that's done well recently, and that's the only time I've heard one of his sporting teams do well ever in all my life that I've known Kroenke. So you can, you know, make a fair judgment of where this club is going. And also one of these things, the ex-Crystal Palace guy, I was mentioning this on the group, like, said it on TalkSport of all places, that, you know, it costs a lot of money to run an outfit that is challenging or an outfit that is close to relegation. So from a business point of view, you're at a very safe place if you're running, you know, a 4th to 8th place team in the Premier League. You know, you're not competing, you're maybe in the top 4, but there's no threat of relegation. And that seems to be the model that, you know, most, or at least Manchester United and Arsenal have figured out. You know, Man U always spend a shitload of money if they don't make it into the top 4. But once they're in the top 4, their investment into the team goes down the shitter. The same case with us. You know, given how valuable the club is, we've had cash reserves of upwards of 200 million, and we spent almost nothing compared to that for so many seasons. And, you know, even from direction of the club point of view, one moment we're supposed to be competing with Bayern and all of that, and that gets beaten around a whole lot. What people don't realize is right after Leicester won, they said, "Oh, our aims have changed. We need to be more smart. We need to be this. We need to be that. We need to be the next Leicester." So even with the big picture, there hasn't been, you know, consistency with the Cronkies. And listen to what we're saying. Our expectation from an owner is at least turn up for a few games, and that just doesn't cut it. It's one of the biggest institutions in English football.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with, and I can actually hear the you boys just talking and just listening. It's actually great to listen, because, you know, when you tweet this or write this, you don't actually get that you know, that emotion that I'm hearing right now, and I totally agree. So, boys, I'm going to move on just a little bit, and we'll speed this up. There was reports during the week, and I don't know how true this is, but Matt Ryan, you know, he kept a clean sheet against Newcastle. There's also reports that Leno wants to go back, I think, to Germany. is what I thought it was, but I may have misread the article. Is Matt Ryan the bloke for next season? I'll go with you first, Tony. I'll get the boys' thoughts. Or do we look at another goalkeeper if this is the case?
Yeah, no, look, Matt Ryan, I actually quite like him, but I don't want him as a number one. I think he's a great number two. I think we should sign him. And I think he's up there then with probably one of the best number twos in the country. But yeah, not for number one. And in terms of letting Leno go, bye-bye. Please leave. Like, do you know what? It's funny. I've seen so many people going, "Oh, fans are so reactionary. He was world class this year, that year." And anyone regularly listens, I've never rated the guy. So for me, it's like him saying he wants to leave is music to my ears. I even remember when, I know it was a Patreon pod, so a lot of people wouldn't have heard it, but we spoke about the buy, sell, keep, loan, whatever a few weeks ago, me, you, and Addy. My comment on Leno then, and this was before any of the recent mistakes, was the problem is with him, he's not shit enough to want to bomb out immediately, but he's not good enough to get us where we want to go, in my opinion. So him saying this has sped up the process, and for me, it's fucking fantastic news. I mean, look, I don't know how much we get for him. I don't know where he goes, but for me, he's not. Whatever our aim is, unless it's just to be bang average, he's not good enough. He doesn't speak like everyone. Again, this happened earlier in the season in the Villa game. Everyone that was at the Newcastle game, all the reporters comment on how much Matt Ryan talks to his defense, and it only stands out so much because Leno doesn't. Leno can't kick a ball. He's allergic to coming off his line. When he does, catching the ball is not happening ever. Don't matter who's around him. And look, he pulls out some worldies occasionally. And look, this may sound a bit harsh because I said last week he kept us in the tie against Villarreal, and I believe that. But that doesn't mean players I don't rate can't do good things. I've seen Sanogo score for us against Dortmund in the Champions League. To be honest, for me, Sanogo won us the FA Cup, which people sound is crazy, but we were 2-0 down, not playing well. We took Podolski off and went 2 up front and gave them a physical problem. And the game completely changed. I'm not saying Sanogo come on, scored a hat-trick and won it for us, but the game completely changed coming on. He was still shit. So for me, this is very welcome news, and I hope it happens. In terms of who's a replacement, which is a tweet I put out yesterday, I think it's a difficult one. I don't watch as much foreign football as I should anymore. So there's no real standouts for me whilst being realistic. I know a lot of people saying the Lille keeper's brilliant. As I said, I didn't know he existed until people told me we should sign him. I said this months ago. I wouldn't be surprised if we go after Areola. And for me, that would be an upgrade. Is it good enough?
I read a lot of them. I read a lot of them comments. Tony and Oblak, he was front and center.
It's not realistic.
No, it's not realistic at all. It'd be great.
For me, he's the best keeper in the world. I think he's so underrated. I think he's the best keeper in the world by a distance. But yeah, I mean, I'm being realistic, and I've seen other people go, Donnarumma's on a Donnarumma's on a free.
That was the other one. Yeah,
it's just crazy. But for me, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if we do have a tightish budget and you're looking to spend money elsewhere. Areola's not going to be expensive. Again, is he the keeper you're going to go and win the league with? No. But are we looking to win the league next season? Also, no. So if you can fill in a stopgap for a few years, not much money and spend elsewhere, and then upgrade in a few years, I think that's maybe the way to go.
Andy, I'll go to you. Your thoughts on Leno, because I'm here to get listeners' thoughts as well, and obviously what you read during the week that he wants to go. You're happy with that?
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm quite surprised. Listen, I'm like Tony. I've never been on the Leno bandwagon. I think he's hot and cold. He pull off in a game. He pull off amazing saves. I always remember against that lot down the road. At their ground, that double save he did. Was it at Wembley we played them? Or it was at Wembley, wasn't it? He pulled off that double save. That was incredible. And the next minute he's letting one through his legs like he did the other day. So I wouldn't be gutted to see him go. I've got to be honest. I've actually heard this week that we could be in for Szczesny again. I don't know how that's going to hit, but they reckon that's another option that could be on the cards. I wonder
what his contract is. I haven't looked or anything, but I wonder when he he might be close to coming out too.
Can I just cut in quickly? Sorry, someone's just said in the chat, go for Pope, and I completely agree. I think Pope's quality. I'm not sure if he's good enough with his feet. That's the only issue, because Leno kills us with how bad he is with his feet, and with Pope especially, they tend to play Barnes and Wood up front, so they go long quite a lot and win headers, which is something that we're not going to do. I know Chelsea looked at Pope last year and they went for Mendy because of his feet. But for me, Pope as just a keeper, catching, crossing, crosses, saves, is up there. He's as good as Ederson and Alisson for me, purely on saving the ball and catching the ball. But I don't know if he'd fit us, but he's a better keeper than Leno. There's no two ways about that.
He'd be reasonably cheap too, wouldn't he?
I don't know, because he's Burnley's guy. Like, he's...
Yeah. I think, it was ridiculous what they did with Martinez. I mean, I don't actually know why. Everyone, it was so blatantly obvious that Martinez was the better goalkeeper, after the 10 games that he played. It was only 10 games, but his all-round ability and his presence in the area is just so much better than Leno. And it was just laughable. I mean, obviously, listen, they got good money for him, and I think that probably played a large factor in wanting to say, you know what, we're cut our losses and we're getting rid of him. I was very disappointed to see Martinez go.
I also think, Andy, it was similar to Willian, when you've kind of stumped up that money which we did for Leno, and bring him to England and the Premier League. It's if you got rid of him, you nearly have egg on your face, you know what I mean? So I think this is a blessing in disguise for Arsenal. Probably thinking, you fucking beauty.
What with Leno?
Tez, sorry, I don't want to interrupt again, but Cigarettes and Arsenal's just said when Leno first arrived, everyone was saying how good his kicking was compared to anyone we had previously, when in fact he was just overconfident. And I always said he was Czech with confidence. Czech was so bad at kicking, he was scared of the ball. Leno was so bad at kicking, but he'd done it like he was proud. So it seemed like he was all right. And I said that from day one. Like, his kicking's horrendous. But sorry, Andy, I completely agree. Like, again, I said it at the time. Emmy was streets ahead in pretty much every aspect for me.
I think that was
Vignac, I'll get your thoughts, brother.
Same as everyone, like shit with his feet, and that is probably what works against him. I mean, he's a great shot stopper, but I think it's one of those players, like we have this statistic where, all your actions are measured against the possession that you have. I forget what it's called. It's on the Michael Cox podcast. So, you have certain players who perform really well in certain game states because of the team dynamics. I think Leno is one of those. Like, if he's getting shot at 30 times a game, and he's going to pull off a blinder occasionally, but then if you ask him to do something more than that, and you're only getting shot at thrice or 4 times a game, he is going to have a howler in him. He's shit in the air. And I don't know. I think I'm going to be surprised if we don't go back for Raya from Brentford. I think that's a long-term target that both, Arteta and the club have. Other than that, I mean, there isn't any standout candidate, like Tony said. And also, I think a lot of things need to change with regards to, what kind of keeper we get. You could get Raya, but then...
Anyone going down that we can think of? No, Norwich, no.
I'm not sure for us. Sam Johnston's very good. He's not an Arsenal keeper, and it's not fashionable. They're talking about, I saw an article today, West Brom saying they want 30 million for him if they go down. But he's a good, he's made the most saves in the league this year, but again, he's played for West Brom, so he's probably faced the most, but he's a good keeper. But yeah, not for, the difference is that the teams that go down are usually going to be long ball teams. So then their keepers aren't going to suit us. Where Areola's a bit different. Obviously, he's come from PSG. He's on loan from PSG. So he's played for big teams. And Fulham try and play a bit. They're not. Otherwise, they'd have played Mitrovic. Obviously, Mitrovic's basically been on the bench all year because they don't just want to go long. But you look at, as I said, you look at most teams that go down in general, and they're long ball teams. I mean, you look Sheffield United. They kick the ball as far as they can towards the biggest guy they can find. And try and win flick-ons. West Brom, similar. That's why they signed the guy that's Diagne, the guy that scored yesterday. I forgot his name. And yeah, as I said, Fulham are maybe a bit different. But I've seen people say, like, people like Dubravka as well. I don't think they're good enough. I'd probably have Matt Ryan over Dubravka.
And there's no one coming up, is there? Like from Norwich, Watford.
No, but if they're coming up, they're going to be expensive
they're
because
gonna
they're now
keep
coming
them,
out to the Premier
yeah.
League. I just want to quickly comment on the Raya shout because it's coming completely because Inaki Kanya's coached him before. I think he's terrible. Every time I've seen him, he's been shite. And he's like what do they call it? A maverick if you're good and erratic when it goes bad. He just does crazy things, stands in weird positions. For me, I'm not having him at all. I didn't want him as a second or third choice keeper last year. I certainly don't want him as a first, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah, no.
Sam, your thoughts on Leno, buddy?
Yeah, I've got a slightly different view. Well, a different view to you guys. I actually, to be honest, I actually quite like Leno. He's had a poor season, but he's not the only one who's had a poor season. And certainly recently, he's made some bad mistakes, but he did have a good game against Villarreal. I just think the last couple of years, I think he's been a very good goalkeeper for us. As I said again, not so much this season, but I just feel like there's definitely other priorities in the next transfer window other than getting another new keeper. I think Matt Ryan is a good goalkeeper as well who could challenge him if he dipped below the level he needs, Leno needs to be at. But I think if we had those two, Leno and Matt Ryan, I'd be reasonably happy with that. If you're asking me, like, could we get better? There's definitely better goalkeepers out there. It's whether that's where we want to invest our money, and it's also, is it a priority for the team? I think there's other areas of the team we need to strengthen before we got to goalkeeper. And I'm not sure. I don't know if it's to do with partly to do with the goalkeeping coach situation. I'm not sure. And I mean, others might argue that it hasn't dropped off. Yeah. But to me, it seems like this season, particularly the last few months, his form has dropped off quite dramatically. And I don't know if that's something behind the scenes that could be rectified. But for me, there's other priorities rather than goalkeeper to swap out this.
Can I just butt in quickly for the millionth time? I completely agree with you, Sam. But that's why for me, him saying he wants to go, it was kind of like a blessing because he would have stayed, and as you said, there would have been other priorities. But when someone actively wants to leave, they've got 2 years left on their contract. You've kind of got to look at changing that.
And it's probably the right time to sell them, given our track record of selling the players.
Yeah, exactly. But there is reports he doesn't like the keepers coach. But I'd imagine that's because after working with him for over a year, he still can't kick a fucking football.
And I mean, he is the splitting image of our team currently. Doesn't have a well-rounded skill set, really good at shot stopping, shit at kicking, and he's going to have a howler every now and then. That's 10 people in our squad right now. So I mean, if he wants to leave, he's welcome to.
I also, the thing is, I also disagree with everyone saying he's so great at shot stopping because he's great at saving the initial shot, but parries everything straight in front of him and always has done. I can't believe, I'm not going to go on too much about technical flaws of keepers because I never was one. I'm 5'7". That was never anything I was going to do. But I can't believe it's something that hasn't been fixed down the years. That I've said it on here a million times. He's got soft hands. He parries everything just in front of him. So while his initial saves are good, but the amount of times we concede from rebounds. I remember earlier in the season, Kyvan given a bit of a stick because there was a save he made, and I was like, if he didn't make that save, he wouldn't have got any stick. But having made the save, he just parried the ball straight in front of him and someone scored the rebound. Yeah. So for me, that it kind of wastes being a good shot stopper if you're just going to parry everything down to someone who can score a rebound. It's, as I say, it's amazed me.
There was one against Tottenham, wasn't it? Son scored off the left, if I remember.
That was last year. This year, well, that was last year. It was a second. I think Ericsson scored. Son got a rebound and squared it across. But he's done it often. And the one I was talking about was against Liverpool at Anfield. He made it. I think it was Salah. He made a great save, but then he just parried it into the middle of the goal, and I think it was Robertson scored or Mane. And he'd done the same against City away. We lost 1-0, and he made a half decent save, but
turn it into a tap-in for someone else. He does it quite often, and as I said, for me, it's just something I can't believe has never been worked on, because it takes away from him being an excellent shot stopper. I'll never regard him as that, because as I said, it kind of feels like a waste of time if you're going to save the ball into the path of someone else to have a tap-in.
Yeah, it is weak with the. You're right, Tony. He has got weak hands, but yeah, I mean, shot stopping. He's there for that moment. He will be there at times, but then when, as you say, he parries a lot, and he never really, very rarely see him commanding his area. He never comes out and catches the ball. It's normally a punch, isn't it? Or unless it's a very easy sort of catch to come out for. He's called. I always panic when there's a corner coming across, because he's just not there. He doesn't exist, does he? So, yeah, I wouldn't be upset if he left.
Just to go off on a tangent, I'm so sorry to butt in, but
Sam had to run, Vignac. So I'll just shout out to Sam. Thanks for joining us, buddy. And if anybody else wants to join, there is a spot available there now. You can have your say as well. So yeah, sorry, Vignac, come up.
Yeah, just to go off on a bit of a different topic. What do you guys think about our backroom staff, especially with goalkeeping, and how we've developed goalkeepers, or for lack of a better term, turned them into worse goalkeepers than they initially come in? Because Szczesny's done better. Fabianski, on the balance of probabilities, maybe a better keeper at West Ham than he was with us. We've let go of João Virginia, who's a really great prospect. He's number 2 at Everton now. Leno was highly rated. He's gone to the shit. So, opinions?
Can I go first, because I've got quite strong opinions?
Go on, Tony.
I'm not trying to make this a Tony show, but here we are. So just there's a few things. Virginia isn't the second choice; he's the third choice, and pretty much every Everton fan tells me he's shit. The wider question is, it's been different teams of goalkeepers. Everyone knew Jerry Payton was shit. He was there just out of loyalty. He'd been there so long. But we've changed. We've had Cech bring his keeping coach with him, so I'd imagine that had some crossover with Leno. Emery bring his keeping coach. Arteta's bring his own. So it's a bit difficult to blame, because it's you know what I mean. It's different coaches. Szczesny's definitely got better. Fabianski, to be honest, he was always okay for us when he had a run of games. He's not that keeper that can come in and play one game here and miss for 3 games or 5 games or 10 games. So I don't know if he's definitely a better keeper now. He's at West Ham. Well, I don't know if he's better. He's showing it because he's consistent and he knows if he's fit, he's going to get picked. So I think it's hard to judge on a lot of them. As I said, Szczesny's definitely got better, but then he wasn't rated at Arsenal, to be honest, and he hated Jerry Payton as well. So that never helped. As I said, Cech went down the hill, but was that to do with age? Leno, I don't know. Was he rated for sort of no reason? Let's be honest. He was Germany's third or fourth.
He definitely was.
No, he was rated. I'm saying, but was it justified? Because he was there. Look, there's some good keepers in front of him, so I'm not taking that away from him. But it's not like he was pushing for the Germany team. Stegen, Neuer above him, and then he was fighting. I can't remember who it was. He was fighting with to be the third keeper. Oh, what's the other guy we was looking at signing? He was at Cologne, but he'd been there forever. We was looking at buying him for like 4 million. I forgot his name. It's going to annoy me.
The guy with the beard. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so they were
Timo Horn.
Yeah. So he was fighting for Germany's third or fourth keeper with a guy that got relegated that year. Like, so when we say he had a reputation, was it like it wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we're signing Donnarumma. So has he got worse? I don't know. Look, let's be honest. I didn't watch loads of him at Leverkusen, but it's not like we signed the Germany #1 that was flying and had no competition. We signed a guy that was maybe third or fourth for Germany, and now he's definitely third, but nowhere near 1 or 2.
How much did we pay for him? Do you remember? Was it 20?
18, I think.
Yeah.
How much would he? Because Roberta has asked as well. How much would we get for him? You reckon?
No idea.
Hopefully more than 18.
Yeah, but is he worth? Like, is someone willing to pay more than 18? Like, I wonder where they'd put him. Other teams are thinking, and I'm thinking, who needs a goalkeeper? Roma probably do, but Roma seem to be signing everybody now. Yeah, I just wonder. I wonder how much he'd be worth.
No idea.
No.
Okay, yeah. if we got 18, but if we got 7, 5, 6, 7 mil, you know, he's happy there. You just to see the arse end of him.
No, I'd like to get decent money for him. I think if we're already getting rid of him. I think. No, I think we'd fetch a decent amount. Listen, as soon as they leave Arsenal, they're rock and rolling, aren't they?
Well, this is the thing. Like, I was just listening to you boys talking, you know, with the back room in Vignac. You know, he's talking about the back room staff and stuff. And I look at like just players who have left Arsenal, and I don't know what it is, whether they got better or we just keep an eye on them somewhere else, and they seem to have got better. Like the bloke who plays for Bayern Munich now, like he's
Gnabry.
Yeah, Gnabry. Like he's
Great
like
player.
Everyone's going, oh, the one that got away, and it always leads to these ones that got away. But did they get away or did they get better? I don't know.
He had bad attitude, didn't he? I think that was his problem, Gnabry. He didn't get on with it. I think his attitude was that, you know, he was young, wasn't he? Listen,
yeah,
you know, that's the problem with this. I you know, going sort of, I just think with Arsenal, I'm just so confused why they bring in all these defensive coaches and God knows what else, and our defending still like schoolboy at times. It's a shambles sometimes. You think, what the fuck are they actually doing in training? You know, it just bemuses me sometimes. And I think, you know, unfortunately, Arteta doesn't know his best sort of defensive partnership, so he's chopping and changing. And, you know, it makes me wonder what goes on in training. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with the goalkeepers. What do they do? Who knows what, you know, it's crazy sometimes. You know, I sit and watch the game sometimes. I think, what do they do in training? What do they practice? Yeah, it's very odd.
It is, and I don't know what the answer is. I think it's more that we just keep an eye on these players when they leave Arsenal and go, oh, and it just seems like the easy banter for non-Arsenal fans to have a shot at us. I feel as though, look, he's let another one go, but I don't know if he was that good to start with. I don't know. It's funny. Righto, boys. What else? Anything else to discuss quickly?
Yeah, I've got a question that's been popping around Twitter today, and some of the answers have fucking astounded me. So I just want to see what everyone else thinks before I give my opinion. Well, I've tweeted it anyway. Your Arsenal player, the top 3 in terms of player of the season. So obviously anyone free to answer and give their reasons why. I'm actually in disbelief with some of the answers I've seen. So maybe it's me, but yeah, whoever wants to go first, your players and why.
Well, it's got to be 2 outstanding players really on a very mediocre season. Is obviously Saka and Smith Rowe. I can't. And Tierney, 3 of them.
What order? Like, who's your 1, 2, and 3?
I think Saka's been phenomenal, absolutely amazing. I think he's, you know, for such a young kid, his football brain is brilliant. You can plant him in any position, and he'll produce the goods. I think he's been absolutely amazing. To still, you know, on the level he's doing, I don't think he's not been energised as much recently, but I just think, you know, maybe it's caught up a little bit with him, but he's been phenomenal. So I'd say Saka. I think Tierney, when he's been fit, has been great, and I think Smith Rowe.
Fair enough. Go on, Vignac.
Same as him, but I think Saka 1, second Tierney, and third. Okay, this is going to get me a lot of heat, but Pepe maybe. Or maybe it's just recency bias, but I don't think Smith Rowe's done enough just to get into the top 3 right now.
Fair enough. Look, everyone's open to their answers. I just saw some stuff that I thought was crazy on Twitter. Tez, I know you'd like to avoid these things, but go on.
I think Smith Rowe and Saka, I agree totally. They've found themselves. Well, were we talking Saka and Smith Rowe last season? No. Why are we talking about them this year? Because they've been fucking brilliant.
And it was only really forced upon Arteta to play those 2. If you remember rightly, we were in a bit of a pickle, weren't we, with injuries? And it wasn't an Arteta thing like, you know what, I'm playing it. He actually was forced to play them because I think we had injuries at the time. Am I right, Tony? Do you reckon? I just seem to remember he was
definitely with Smith Rowe, not so much with Saka. It was the Chelsea game where Smith Rowe came in. Saka was already playing quite a lot. So we gave him the number 7 shirt over something. He was playing a different position. But then the Chelsea game, we had loads of injuries, and I think that was the first time Saka played on the right, or one of the first times.
The other one, like obviously Tierney, he's like every week he's he's becoming that bloke who's just
solid.
We just like, don't we? Like, it's nothing bad. I can't say anything bad about him. But I may get in a bit of stick here. People are going to go, oh, Tez loves old mate again. But I have to say, and not going to say player of the season, but this year I've seen Granit become a better player. As like I've always liked him. Those who listen to the pod know that I have. But for me, everyone was like, can he find that next level? And I think he's on the right path to continuing. Like he's been better this year again, and next year, is he going to be again? Where does it stop? And I think there are probably 4 players who have got better. Roberto says Lacazette. I don't know what you're smoking, Roberto, but anyway, brother, you're entitled to your opinion. No, I can't give an argument for Lacazette. Actually, I was trying to play devil's advocate with you and give a bit of I don't know, but they're probably the 4 players that I think are the 4 standout players, and the 4 who have either got better or where are you at, Tony? And what was the responses? Because I didn't see it.
Mine is exactly the same as Andy's, in the same order, with Saka, KT, ESR, and then I was talking to Swin about it, and he had Granit in his, and I said he was my notable mention. So I wouldn't put him in my top 3, but he's had a good year, or he's got better, or he's looked better. But the amount of one was Lacazette actually, and the other one, the amount of Gabriel I was seeing, I was just like, I watch a different sport, I think. And then there was loads of people going, oh, but he got player of the month for the first 3 months, which he did, and you can't really argue with it. But yeah, just not for me. To be fair, Sam has just said Luiz. There was quite a few people that said Luiz. I think we didn't probably appreciate. I think that Newcastle game done him a favour, because having him there showed such a difference from what we've seen in other games. But then on the flip side of that, a load of people think our best defensive partnerships Holding and Mari. So then, are you going to put Luiz in your top 3 or 4 if you don't think he's in our best partnership? It's as I said, look, Luiz has done well, and he's never going to get the credit he deserves, because he does very Luiz things, which isn't a compliment. But he's. I mean, I think he's gone. I think he's played his last game for us, unfortunately. But he has had a good year for me.
Yeah, he's definitely improved, Luiz, over the time. Yeah, as you say, he's definitely prone for that complete clown mistake. But I think so's Xhaka. I mean, I don't know how many times Xhaka gives the ball away when you watch the game. I think he's definitely improved. And I feel sorry for him that he's having to be played in a position that's just not his. He's got no idea how to play that position. I think, unfortunately. And he gets ridiculed for it, and a player that's been played in a position doesn't belong to. I think it's very unfair. But Taylor V, that's Arteta. His team selection, his team picking. I'm just hoping on Thursday he picks a team that's worthy of going to win that game, because if we're on the back foot to begin with that game, I think we'll struggle. I really don't.
Because KT trained today, so hopefully he's got to be worth risking, even if he pops his hamstring. It's worth the risk. Look, the one thing I will say about Xhaka, and I know he gets a lot of hate, but and I agree with you about him playing out of position, but you get the impression that you said to him, if you said to him, go and play right wing, he'd go, yeah, boss, I'll give it my best. Well, and look, that should be the bare minimum, but it's not. We know that with football. And anyone that listens knows I bang on about Jack Wilshere all the time. And I always said, I understand not everyone can have his ability. Why everyone doesn't care as much as him, I'll never know. So where I'm saying Jack will say, cool, boss, I'll play right wing. As I said, that's any player should be, okay, I'll give it my all. No matter where you play me, I'll give it. But how many times we see players play out of position and they sulk or they down tools? And as I said, you've got to, whether people like him or not, for me, you've got to give him credit, because it should be the bare minimum, but it's not. As I said, you could say to him tomorrow, he could in the game tomorrow start at left back, get shift to centre back if we need a goal, and then if we get one, get pushed into midfield to try and hold the game together. And you go, yep, boss, yep, boss, yep, boss.
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
if you said to Hector, oh, can you play left back for 20 minutes because we've got an injury? He'd start flipping his hair about and like, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I'd like to know, like, and I know it's very hard, but with Granite, how the local fans, would have welcomed him back. After all that drama that he had.
Well, we were still there.
But then there was no crowds, was there?
No, we were still there. We were still there.
Oh, okay. So there was no major drama or issue.
Well, look, there's some people that never forgive him, but to be honest, I don't think he was wrong in the first place, and I was at the game. But there's what helped him is us changing managers, because obviously Emery got sacked, I think a month or two after that, and then Arteta brought him back in, and he started off quite well as well. But there's a lot of people. Yeah, it's not like there won't be chance against him or anything. He's kind of treated as if it's never happened, but there is a lot of people that, oh, fucking hell, told us to fuck off. Yeah, so what?
And to his credit, he plays a lot. He's rarely ever injured, very professional, respected in the dressing room. So anybody that knows me knows that, I don't like Xhaka a lot, but then he's grown leaps and bounds, especially this season. So credit to him.
I told you, I knew he was gonna. I've been banging on him about him for 5 years on this.
Just for anyone listening, we done a Patreon pod a few weeks ago about buy, sell, or loan out, and the first person that Tez said we should sell was Xhaka. So don't listen to this now. Oh, I love him. Granite's my mate. He wanted him gone.
I still feel as though, I think, and the only reason I said sell is because, like, I think you're going to get good money for him. Like we spent, was it 40, 45 for him?
No, it wasn't as much as that, was it?
30, wasn't it? Oh, I can't remember. I think 35 was it? I think you'd get 45 million, 45, 50 for him. Like, and he's at peak now, and if you wait another year or two, well, that could obviously drop down to the 15 to 20. So I'd hate to be that bloke to say when's the time to sell the players. I'd hate to be that bloke.
I'd like it if he's not in our midfield next season. I really would. I'd like to see Partey. I would like to see Partey in with someone exciting next to him, a strong Vieira type sort of player, or on that sort of level. I just think he does a job, Xhaka. Listen, everyone, he does a job, and we all know he does. And like Tony says, and like you say, Tez, he's there, and he's a very reliable player. But that's it with Xhaka. He produced one blockbuster shot, that'll go in, and he's like unbelievable. And he's a decent player, but he's not exciting, is he? I mean, we've grown up watching a midfield. Even like Gilberto was just, he was an amazing player to watch. Although he wasn't.
Well, that's where I think, but now's the time. And Ray's pulling me up, I think, and says 45 to 50 for Granite. I think he's implying you're dreaming, but I think a Serie A club, into AC Milan, someone they would pay that. And I think that's where you probably get. But it's interesting times ahead, boys. Interesting times. I think that'll be about a wrap. We've been gibbering on here for about an hour and 20 minutes. So you happy there, Tony? You've had the Tony show.
Just one more quick question.
Yeah.
Who's the front four on Thursday? And I'll be honest, I ain't got an answer for this. So I've seen it going round, and I ain't got a fucking clue, to be honest.
Aubameyang, Saka, and Martinelli.
And then who is a 10?
I just think Odegaard's. I don't know. I'd like Smith Rowe, but I just think Odegaard's there. He's got that ability. He's got it there a little bit more. I'd like to see Smith Rowe. I'll say Odegaard.
So no Pepe and no Smith Rowe.
No.
Interesting. Vignac.
Aubameyang up top, Saka on the right, left Pepe, Martinelli. Martinelli I'd prefer, but we know Arteta is not going to play him. ESR at 10. That's how I'd like my 4.
Okay, it's a horrible question, Tez.
Yeah, I thought Aubameyang's out, is he?
No, he's fit.
He's fit. I think you
He's fit to drop.
probably. Fuck. He played against Newcastle. Pepe, Saka, Smith Rowe, Lacazette.
Lacazette's in. Oh no, he's not. He trained today, but he won't
Yeah,
be
he's
late.
trying. Yeah.
So no Uber,
Have you ever
no
Lacazette-
Odegaard, no Martinelli.
Oh no, I think no. Lacazette. I could be totally wrong, man. It's hard.
I'm not asking who you think he'll start. I'm asking who you would start.
Yeah. Well, definitely not Smith Rowe up top. Like Jesus Christ.
What is it with Martinelli? Is he just like? Is he putting his shoulder on him and saying, "You know what? Next year you're going to be my man," like what's name did with Foden at Man City, or is it? I just don't get it. You know, when he's I know we see on the train. You know, we don't know what goes on the training thing, but when he says he's training like an animal in you know, and things like that, you know, he needs playing time, Martinelli.
I think he's a lot better at times off the bench as an impact kind of player, though. Like he's got so much energy, and you know, when he comes in, he seems to do like that wow stuff.
Yeah,
Tez, do you know an interesting stat I heard the other day, and it really shocked me? How many goals do you think Martinelli scored for Arsenal off the bench?
0.
Correct.
0. Wow, really?
Yeah, it's really shocked me.
Wow. Okay. I feel as though he scored more.
It
I really do. I'm not arguing with it, but I just, from what you see and what you think back, he just, yeah.
Didn't he come on the other week though, Tony, and score? Who didn't?
No, he started against Sheffield United.
Oh, did he? I thought he came on and he scored.
No, it was started. He went off just after because he got heavy tackling.
Ray says he'd have Saka at right wing, Odegaard at 10, Martinelli left wing, Aubameyang as striker. Only if Tierney is fit. This is the thing. So if Tierney's fit, but you said he trained, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you know? I wouldn't be surprised if KT is fit if Emil plays on the left, because their link up has always been good, because Smith Rowe comes inside and can thread them balls on the overlap. Not what I would do. I think it's a really hard one. Look, for me, Aubameyang, I don't rate Odegaard for anyone that doesn't listen. So for me, it'd be Saka on the right, ESR 10, Aubameyang up front, and then the left is a really difficult one, because I know to answer your question, Andy, Arteta thinks that Martinelli is quite wasteful on the ball. And he in general is. He was really good for that the other day at picking his moments, when to take a player on, when to give it easy. Previously, and I know it was exciting, but previously he just tried to take people on every time he had the ball and lost it a hell of a lot. Look, it's 19, it's going to happen. But that's kind of where Arteta's at with him at the moment. And I thought Newcastle was his best ever game for us, to be honest. But I think I'd probably go, I don't know. I really like Martinelli.
Well, my thing is Martinelli played really Newcastle. Well. That's the thing that gets me. So he started against Newcastle, which kind of leans me towards, Saka, Aubameyang playing left, and that's
Aubameyang won't play left. It'll be
he'll play up top. You think?
I think that Gabby, because he started, it probably means Pepe will play, and unless, as I said, if KT's fit, it's not what I would do, but it really wouldn't surprise me to see Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe left, and Aubameyang up top.
What's your strongest team? I know we're thinking of what Arteta will do, but what for you is our strongest?
It's only the left. It's only the left that's an issue for me. Gabby or Pepe
on the right, or you want him on the left?
No, I'll go Saka. I'll go Saka right.
Saka on the right, yeah.
For me, we're best with ESR at 10, but that won't come as a surprise to anyone. And then on the left, between Gabby and Pepe, fuck knows, because they give you different things as well.
Yeah, they do.
Pepe's, I mean, Martinelli, I know his numbers aren't as good, but he's more of a goal threat because he's more direct. Everything he does, he's just trying to run the goal.
100%. Yeah.
But then
he does those things that.
Oh, go on. Sorry, Vinyard.
Oh, he does those things that don't really translate in terms of statistics, like stretching
the
opposition.
Yeah,
playing
that's
on the
what maybe
shoulder,
we'll see.
number of balls.
How
So,
many assists has he got though on that coming off the bench? I know you talk goals, but I feel as though he does something off the bench. I really do.
I just like him. I think he's a very exciting kid, and hopefully that he will only progress and get better. I mean, yeah, Tony's right. Maybe I mean I like Odegaard. I just think he's got something in his pocket with things. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Listen, no one wants to be the manager. Everyone wants to be the manager, and give their opinions. But it's a difficult decision. But I just, I think just for Thursday, I really just hope they come out and just play. Because the way that, when Arsenal sit back, and they, it's that boring start, and you just know that you're in it for the long haul, and it's just going to be a real slog. But it just needs to come out and go at their throat straight away, because they were shit, really, weren't they, Villarreal? Let's be fair. They weren't very good.
We were worse.
in all these years of watching football, I've never seen one Foyth play so well. So that just gives you an indication of how shit we were.
Yeah, we weren't good. It was an abysmal semi-final. We were very poor. That's not getting away from that. But they were there for the taking. It was just, unfortunately, we just didn't realise that. We were very lucky to get that penalty, which wasn't really a penalty, was it? But we'd take it all day long, especially with VAR decisions that are going for us at the moment, which is 0. But yeah, let's just hope they come out fighting.
Vignac, we've got to go. We've got to go full attack here, I feel. And what is for you? Because we need to not to concede, don't we? And we need to get one. Is that right?
Yeah,
we need to win by a margin of 1.
1, yep. And we need not
unless
to
it's
concede.
3-2. Unless it's 3-2.
Yeah.
No, if we win 2-1, it's extra time.
Yeah.
1-0 we go through, 2-1 extra time, 3-2 they go through. Anything above that, they go through. In terms of a 1-goal win.
I know we're stretched for time, but final question: how many of you would like to see the Odegaard deal made permanent? Because I wouldn't, and I know I'm in the minority when I say that.
I'm a negative on that. I think we can improve on him.
Said it ages ago, got hammered for it. Now everyone's agreeing with me. But Tez, I know you laugh, but remember when I said it and people were going mad?
Yeah, I know. I remember. I see the messages come through as well.
I think it's very hard for a player that's come on a loan for 6 months to sort of, get involved. I think he looks like he could be a great player. I still think we should. Listen, it's going to be stupid money anyway, whatever they're going to ask for him, because Real Madrid, obviously they're going to ask for like 45 million, and Arsenal just say up yours. This won't happen. We're taking for another year on loan or whatever. But I think also that's a bit of a waste. I think it is stopping ESR to progress as well, I suppose. And everyone, I love him. I think he's great. He offers so much more to the team. But I just think this Odegaard's got something there. But anyway, yeah, it's all about opinions, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And Ceballos is one. I remember when we had him, was it last season when he come to loan, everyone wanted to go again with him, and look what's happened. Now everybody's going, oh, really?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's been shocking.
He's been shocking, all right.
Yeah, he has. He's another one blows hot and cold. He's got a real ability of just not being interested and just, you can just see the way he is sometimes, his body language. But yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? It's a bit like with Aubameyang, but who knows what's happened to him. But obviously there's lots of things going on. What's been going on with him, but all very strange.
Ray says on YouTube, sorry Tony, I'm still not agreeing with you. I think he's talking about Odegaard.
Yeah, because I said it ages ago and got hammered, and now everyone agrees with me. He's right. Not everyone agrees with me. Just the intelligent people.
The majority of the fan base is not going to agree with this assessment of Odegaard anyway.
I don't know. It's swinging. Honestly, I think when I first said it, there was about 3 people that said it, and now I think it's probably 50-50 now. I actually think he actively makes us worse because he does nothing. He tidies the ball over, but you don't want that from a 10. Apart from, and this is always the caveat, the West Ham game, if that was his level, that I keep saying this, that's like top 10 in the world level that day. And if that was consistent, then Real Madrid wouldn't let him go. But the worry is always going to be you decline to sign him, and then he finds that form every week, or 3 out of 4 weeks. The issue is we've seen it once in 15 or so games, and then he's had another couple of games where you go, oh, he was quite good, yeah, okay. As I said, he's had one 11 out of 10. It wasn't even a 10 out of 10. It was outrageous how good he was. And then he's had a couple of 7 and 8s, and then apart from that, he's just done nothing. He's been a passenger. He's not. I think he's on 0 assists still. And it's not like he's been laying him on a plate and people have been missing. He just keeps the ball. He's probably got a ridiculously high pass completion rate. So is Mohamed El Neni, and I don't want him either.
So, let me ask you, Tony, who would be your ideal partner for Partey then?
Difficult. I mean, the one that everyone keeps going on about is Basuma, and I'm not a big fan. Never have been. I think he's a highlights player. I don't think he's good enough on the ball for a team that are going to expect to have a lot of the ball. But interestingly, the other two teams that I know are chasing him are Tottenham and Liverpool. So probably shows what I know.
Ray, with all due respect, buddy, it's all right.
Oh, I've got really strong opinions on this one.
I know you like Basuma and Samare, don't you?
No, now that I actually did a bit of a deep dive on Bissouma, I don't know if he's the right person. I think he's the kind of person you'd play at the base of your midfield, and he'd be like, a rotation option for Partey. But what I really like, the players that I like for that position, that sort of 8-10 role is one is Sangare, who was at Toulouse, but I think we missed out. He's been really good for PSV. And another one, if we have the money, is Camavinga, but then I think we're never going to get that player.
Yeah, too much money. It's a difficult one. I'm trying to think who I would want. Because when you look at players, you kind of think of people who play more advanced. There's not really anyone great in that sort of role. Even trying to think throughout the league, I'm not saying we should get them, but even if you look at Man United, who are a comfortable second, they're kind of players they play there. Fred, McTominay, and you're like, do you know what I mean? There's not much really there. Partners, I actually don't know. Look, we need someone with more of an engine of Xhaka, but can still keep a decent passing range and is quite press resistant. For me, as I said, where Basuma lets you down is on the passing range. I don't know.
The real option is Sangare. I've looked at about 20 players and all of these things, and Scouted Football's got a really good piece on them as well. Sangare is leaps and bounds ahead of. Think about having Partey with more speed, more physicality, something like Diaby and Partey, and a real good hybrid. Great passing range, has a bit of everything in him. So he and you could play him at the base of midfield. You could play him as an 8. He's really, really, really good.
And Andy, who obviously you asked the question, Andy, have you got a name in mind?
Samari, I do like. Is it Samari? Is that his name?
He's the one who came up with Leicester today, actually.
Yeah, I like him. He's the Vieira sort of bloke. I like that sort of stature. I do like him. Well, they're saying that this Bissouma is pretty much odds on that he's coming to Arsenal.
I don't know, because I have a lot of not contacts. I'm not in the know in any sense. Not not even contacts. But I speak to people from a lot of clubs or involved with a lot of clubs, and a lot of Liverpool people think they're very close to signing him. But then Arsenal, the noise coming out of Arsenal, as you said, seems like it's more likely than not to happen. And then I've heard that Tottenham have had a word as well. So as much as I said, that it does sound like from Arsenal that he's the one they want, but Liverpool seem to think the same thing. So it's a tough one. But again, they're another club. You look at them and they play free in the midfield, and you go, well, Thiago's not pulled up trees. Wijnaldum, their fans hate him. I think he's quite good. So that position is just a problem position at the moment. No one, barring City, who have got 300 players. No one's really got in that position. You know what I mean? I think there's just not really many standouts at the moment. I mean,
You-
the world missed
you know
a trick
what-
with Jude Bellingham. That's the truth. Everyone that didn't sign Jude Bellingham missed out.
Yeah, phenomenal talent. Yeah, and they
You know,
I
one club we
actually-
could rate.
Well, I like
You know-
Verratti for me because and I think
He's
to
the best in the
myself,
world,
Yeah,
but it's not realistic.
I don't think it's realistic. But then I wonder though, Tony, are these? I was saying it this morning. Are these guys starting to get sick of the French league, like PSG? They've bowed out of the
Yeah,
Champions
but
League.
if
It's
Verratti
boring.
becomes available, I don't think there's a club that doesn't go for him. For the guy's
Who's
for me
that?
near enough a perfect player. Huh?
Mm.
Who's that? Sorry.
Verratti.
Verratti at PSG.
Oh, what a nasty piece of work he is, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but you love them when they're yours.
Yeah, but he was, especially tonight. Especially tonight, right? Nasty.
Oh, he was trying to
piece.
get sent off. He was trying to get sent off.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, well, undoubtedly, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of him. He looks a decent player. I'd love Grealish. People. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of talk about Grealish with Arsenal.
Do you know what? He's my favourite. He's my favourite non-Arsenal player, but not for that role. It's too deep for him.
Yeah,
you want
it's
him.
too-
You want him
but
where he can hurt the team.
No smoke without fire with all this, and I don't know. I think it'd be just too much for Arsenal, money wise. But he would be a great player to come. Well, he'd be any club really. But I'd love Grealish. I think he's got such a good temperament. And,
Do you boys have you boys and Vinya? I know you do a bit of scouting and talk. Read a lot about scouting. The young bloke plays for Leverkusen. Wirtz, is it? Have you heard?
He signed a new contract yesterday.
Oh, did he? Okay. Because I've watched a little bit of him and I thought, shit, he's pretty good, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
There are a few other options that come to mind. One is Pellegrini from Roma. I mean, he hasn't played 8, but then he could possibly. And another player that people seem to have forgotten about, and is really excellent, hasn't gotten a lot of game time at Bayern, is Tolisso. So, he could be an exciting option because Goretzka has played him out of that position for most of the season.
I've never been a fan of Tolisso, and I know a lot of people are, and maybe I just haven't seen enough of him. But where every time I've seen him, I feel like the game more passes him by, but than him controlling it or him playing a key role. I feel like he's just an also ran. As I said, maybe I've just not seen enough because I know a hell of a lot of people rate him. As I said, I just think it's a horrible position at the moment. And you look around sort of world football, and there's not many, like even at the top, even like the players that are starting. As I said, we just listed Liverpool and Man United who haven't really got players in that position. Let's be honest, Jorginho still starts most of the games for Chelsea, and he's not very good. When we were linked with him last year, no one wanted him, and I still wouldn't. So
there is one player who's pulling up trees. He's doing amazing, but there's no way in hell we're getting that player, even if we have the money, and that's Marcus Llorente from Atletico Madrid. Plays both ways, excellent. He's unbelievable. Atletico are never going to sell.
No, and in the same sense, Fede Valverde is the other side of Madrid is someone who's ungettable. And it's the reason, look, I rate Declan Rice not as high as West Ham fans because I think they're on crack when they talk about him. But there's the reason people are talking about 70 million for Declan Rice. He's good, but he ain't 70 million. But because there's not many of them type of players, because let's get it right, Declan Rice isn't purely a DM. We saw against us. I think he picked the ball up on the edge of the area, ran 90 yards and had a shot that forced a good save. Like Declan Rice can play, but when you start talking about 70, 80 million, it shows you that position doesn't really have much. The other one that everyone missed out on was Tielemans. He was available, and
I like him.
no one. Well, I mean, I think Man United half went for him, but
I've got a really good shout that Arsenal fans are going to root for the rest of their lives. It's Ismail Benacer from AC Milan. We shipped him off to Turkey for no good reason. He's amazing. Press resistant, really good numbers.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's good to watch too. Ray says, anyone spoke about Willock?
He's never going to make it at Arsenal. He's never.
No, I agree. I think this is the problem is, and no disrespect to these players, but they're just that under par. Like, are we going for a are we going to get back in the top 4 in Champions League with these players? For me, no. Like the Willocks, I see Saka, Smith Rowe, I see Martinelli. I even I'll be honest. I'm questioning Aubameyang. I'm questioning Lacazette. Is it time to move them guys on and bring in some younger talent and rebuild? Because, and I know Aubameyang's just signed a 3-year contract last season, but he's had issues as well, personal issues. But definitely Lacazette. For me, he's got to be the first to leave in the summer.
Sadly.
You know, if we're going to get realistic, I'm not saying going to win the trophy next season but at least I want to compete for it. I want to be looking at this time next year. I want to be at least in 5th position, knocking on 4th door. Like I don't want to be
bar 5 people. Everyone's up for sale in this squad.
I think so. Yeah. I agree. Okay, boys, it's been a pleasure. It really has. And for some reason or somehow, we managed to speak for a minute and 1 hour and 40 minutes of a podcast that I did not know how would go. But it's been awesome talking to you boys as well. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
Cheers, mate. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tez. Thanks, Tony.
No worries, boys.
No worries. Thanks for joining us.
Let's just fingers crossed for Thursday, and hopefully we'll be talking about a European final, which we can smash the Manx.
Yes.
If we get through, which I don't think we will, I'll be going, and I'm already dreading it. We're not even there yet. I've not even booked the ticket because I don't think we'll get there. But if I do, I'm going to book my ticket the whole time thinking I don't want to go. Like, this is what football does to you. You actively pay for something that you don't want to do. Like, me and my mates were talking about it today. They were like, they said to me, are you going? And I was like, it doesn't matter. We're not going to get there. And they was like, okay, but if by some miracle you're going, like, they just know that exactly what I'm like. Where I'm like, we're not going to get there. Cool, see you in Gdansk. What am I doing?
I think we'll win. I think we'll be okay on Thursday. I think we will win. I've got
2-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I think we will win. I think I agree with Vignac. I think we'll win.
I'm a gambler, man, and I won't be punting on Arsenal, but I hope we win.
I'd like to keep in touch, especially with tickets as well, actually, mate. If that's
just use the DMs. I know you was DMing Tez earlier, but I usually pick them up. It was just
okay, cool. All right, that'd be good. That'd be handy. All right, boys. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, Vignac. Cheers, mate. Just drop off, boys, when you want. I'm just going to continue on a little bit and just read through a couple of comments that a couple of lads have discussed. I did see cigarettes and Arsenal. He's gutted we've missed this one. Hopefully there'll be one in the future. Another chance to chat to you guys in the near future, buddy. We will. It's been really good, actually. I've enjoyed this chat.
These are good for the summer as well, when, like, you know what I mean, there's international football and speculation, because you can do a lot of would you like whoever we're linked to that week.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And it's great to hear other people's thoughts as well. Like, we rattle off here for weeks on end, and I think, I wonder, are we on the right track? Because I don't read much of Twitter, so I don't know what's going on a lot really there. So, yeah, it was interesting to get people's thoughts on Leno. And Sam had that different opinion again. But I did. It was, I don't know if many Arsenal fans do rate him, to be honest, so, which surprised me a little bit.
I told you I don't miss. I said that to Swin the other day, and he said he doesn't know how I managed to get Wi-Fi signal up my arse to be able to do this podcast.
Why I'd like Martinelli at the left back, because he can cover for left back with his speed against Chukwueze.
Yeah, Chukwueze. But the thing is, he's seen as a bit of a liability defensively, Martinelli, within football, not even just Arsenal. I just think he don't really know what he's doing.
Ray says, now I agree with that thought on he was talking about, you boys are talking about, these names, fucking hell.
Bissouma.
Yeah. I haven't watched much of him, to be honest. I'm not sure.
For me, really he's like, I'm going to get a stick for this. He's like a Premier League hipster player. So everyone loves Brighton because they play attractive football, and he's seen as like their best player. So he's one of them. Oh, imagine how he would do elsewhere, and everyone wants him. But for me, he's not. He's not. You know, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I don't think he's anywhere as near as good as people say he is, or think he is. And also, he's not for what we need. Look, if we sign him, I'm not going to cry about it. I don't think it'd be a terrible signing. I just don't think he's anywhere near the level that people love to claim or think.
Yeah, he come in cheap too, I guess.
No.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. We did mention Willock. My dog is wagging his tail because he's thinking, "Oh, Dad's come inside," so that means I've got to go. All right, buddy. Thanks again. We might catch up Saturday morning my time, which will be Friday night your time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on Thursday.
Yeah, we will. We will. If we lose, we're not showing our faces.
Yeah.
We're done. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for downloading. Shout out to people in Finland. I see you guys on Spotify, so thank you for listening there. You can follow us at The Clock and Talk. My name's Tez. Thank you. Good night and goodbye.